Molly Lambourn. I'm 22 and I'm based in Canterbury, Kent. I'm currently studying for my Masters in Fine Art, and I'm looking to become a fine artist full time. I'm also the founder of Sophie Stokes, which is my slow fashion recycled plastic jewellery business. And with my fine art, I guess I specialise in drawing, so I draw on anything and everything. I've always drawn sort of incessantly since I was little. But I guess when I was 18, I was sort of told that art wasn't a very sensible degree or choice to make. So I ended up going to University of Warwick studying history, and I got onto this really fantastic scholarship with a bank. I did 2 internships at a bank. They supported me with funding through uni, volunteering opportunities, and it was amazing. But I got into my 3rd year of university and I felt a bit sort of, I guess I felt regret in a way, because I was repressing my creativity. So at that point I came up with the idea for Sophie Stokes. I got funding for that business, and I also applied for my Masters in Fine Art, and I just decided that I would take time to do something that really mattered to me. So that year at university, I started really immersing myself in anything visual. I did historical film, and I was also looking at the cultural history of the NHS, which was fantastic. So I was just constantly surrounding myself by really beautiful art film and posters and all kinds of things. And I spent that time just really refining my brand for my business and just practicing my fine art. So yeah, I had the summer in India, and then I came back from teaching, and I just felt ready to start with my fine art practice. But when I was practicing, I really realised that drawing was what I just loved doing. So I've done painting and other mediums, but anything I do, I always come back to drawing. So that's sort of what I focus on now. A lot of it's deeply personal for me, so it's a lot about the self. So when I draw, I kind of use this metaphor as the pen as this sort of transmission unit. So I've struggled a bit in the past with mental health and anxiety, a lot of self-doubt. And whenever I have those emotions, I pick up a pen, and it's almost like cathartically transforming that negative emotion onto the page into something very beautiful and very positive. So for me, it's that way of having closure with those emotions and actually dealing with it. So it's quite a mindful practice in a way. So there's that element to it, that very deeply personal process behind it. But also within my work, I think a lot about women. I touch upon feminism. I've done tea sets discussing domestic violence of women in India. And a lot of what I do really is these very beautiful sort of surfaces and realities, but often there's a bit of trauma behind that, and maybe a bit of pain, which is quite interesting. Yeah, so I guess mental health, feminism, and I'm deeply inspired by a lot of poetry by Robert Frost. I love A Midsummer Night's Dream, so a lot of literature comes into it. You only have to see the ceramics on the Mouthing Off website to know that I love Grayson Perry. And I saw his exhibition at the Turner Contemporary in Margate around the time I was doing IB, which is like the A-level equivalent. And ever since then, I just fell in love with his work. He's just so raw and honest, and just a very down-to-earth person. And I always felt sort of courage in my own work, thinking how he's just very blunt, and he's very down to earth. He doesn't worry about all these, a lot of fine artists have these pretenses and these this sort of I guess a lot of metaphors, and it's a lot of puzzle unfolding when you look at a lot of artwork, and you have to really think about it. But with Grace and Perry, it's just very, here it is, this is what it is, I'm going to draw stuff on a vase, and anyone can grab a vase or make a vase, you know. So I love his work. I'm also inspired by Aubrey Beardsley. He was a Victorian artist around the time of Oscar Wilde. And what I love about him is just he draws in black and white. There's a lot of detail, and he's got this real penchant for sort of debauchery and drawing quite naughty things, and it's just wonderful. And he has this beautiful sort of prolific portfolio, even though he died at the age of 25. He's got an exhibition at the Tate on at the moment, so I'm hoping to go and see that. And I guess also I love Tracy Emin, again, for that honesty, and she's from Kent as well, so she's always been a real source of inspiration for me. She went to the same uni I'm at now when it was a college. So yeah, I absolutely love Tracy Emin. And yeah, I guess there's so many artists. And most recently, I'm moving into colour, which is quite a big step for me. I'm having a go at that. And Yayoi Kusama, her work is incredible. These beautiful, colourful spaces, and I've only just sort of found her. So I'm going to be doing a lot of reading and research into her, but I absolutely love what she does. Not really, because the master's is so academic. So a lot of it is research and writing, and as a history graduate, I spent most weeks just reading constantly. So that side of it hasn't changed. It did take a while to build my confidence, because I had a bit of imposter syndrome when I started that course, because I thought, oh, I don't really belong here. I've not done my 3 years in art school. So I'm self-taught really as well, so it's quite intimidating. But I found out a lot of the other people on the course, a lot of the other students that came from China, they had done degrees in or just work in HR and all kinds of bizarre backgrounds. There were people in graphic design that had come to fine art, so it was actually just a very weird and wonderful mix of people. So it didn't, in the end, it doesn't seem that bad, but at first I thought, oh God, I've come into this a bit late, but obviously not at all. I'm 22, so that's ridiculous. One of the biggest challenges was one I spoke about, was actually having the confidence to just go for it and do art, and have that confidence to display my work and actually believe that it's good art. So that takes a while, and you know, it's still doubt in your head when you're putting stuff out there. So yeah, that was a big sort of personal challenge. But I think really I've only seriously been working on my fine art for about 9 months. You know, I spent that year at uni practicing and learning, and so it's still quite early on. And I think one of the greatest difficulties when you're trying to have a creative career is a lot of who you know. So you have to do a lot of networking, a lot of trying to meet people. But that's why sort of mouthing off is such a great platform, because it does give unknown artists like me a bit of a voice, which is fantastic. But yeah, it's a big challenge, sort of getting your work out there. I think that's one of the biggest things. I absolutely love the Welcome to My World installation, which is all the ceramics. And I'm really proud of that piece, because there are so many elements to it, so many ceramics. But I think the one I'm most proud of is this one behind me, which is my commission for the University of Warwick, and it's my first paid commission, as an artist, which is incredible. And for me, I love it because it's this affirmation that I am a good artist and I can do this. And also they gave me sort of a lot of free rein with this piece. So they looked at my portfolio and they love my style, they love what I do, so they just said, just make us something that's like what you do. Which is obviously like the dream. So yeah, it incorporates all the things I love drawing, women, the female form. It's got lots of flowers, and it's also got hummingbirds throughout as well, which is important for me because Warwick helped me with funding for Sophie Stokes, and one of the key designs, as you can see, is the hummingbird. So it's that really beautiful coming together of those two sort of passion projects, and it's just a real celebration. And the building that this piece is going into is for entrepreneurs who Warwick work with, people like me, all kinds of different backgrounds. And one of the biggest things for entrepreneurs is creative burnout. So having this in the building, they can go and look at it and just get lost in the detail. And I just love that it might sort of inspire and help people as well. Been so busy and locked down, just applying for loads of exhibitions. So I've actually got quite a few coming up. Some of them are wonderful online ones that anyone can enjoy at the moment, and a few of them won't be on for a few months, obviously because of social distancing and other issues that all the galleries have to think about. So yeah, I've got all these amazing group exhibitions which I'm really excited about. I'm also on an artist residency online with the Cordial Gallery in Massachusetts. And what we're doing is a group of about 10 female artists, and we are thinking about this concept of joy in artwork. And I think there's this big perception with art that it has to be so in depth and have so much meaning. And actually, we're trying to say there's a lot of positivity and something wonderful about just the joy of making art for pleasure's sake. And we're thinking a lot about this idea of joy and how it can help us in day-to-day life, especially with the artists I've met in America. A lot of them are thinking about Black Lives Matter and their role as activists in that sort of narrative, and how they can keep sustaining that activism through a positive mindset, which is it's just fascinating to work with all these women from different backgrounds. And so yeah, I love that. So yeah, lots of exhibitions, lots of residencies and collaborations. So yeah, a lot going on. I guess with Sophie Stokes, my biggest goal is to get Sophie Stokes products in a British retailer. So I'm working with my funders from Warwick University at the moment to think about how to do that. But I just think it would be fantastic to promote this idea of slow fashion, and it would be incredible to see it in an actual store. So I have a few local stores in Kent, but yeah, to get it somewhere a lot bigger would be incredible. And for my fine art, I think a short-term goal, obviously a long-term goal, is to maybe live off the art, which would be incredible. But my short-term goal was to have my first solo exhibition. I would love that. I think it would just be wonderful and overwhelming. But yeah, that would be the goal. Art really is the lens through which we see the world. So art is everywhere. Art is cooking, it's gardening, it's wearing printed outfits, it's reading the newspaper, it's all kinds of things. It's poems, it's watching Netflix in a way, all kinds of things count as art. So art is absolutely culture, and the role of the artist is one that's very subjective. and what you count as an artist. You know, some people completely disagree with me, but I see art and creativity everywhere, and it's sort of, it permeates our culture. So the role of the artist, you know, it could be deeply personal. It can be to create art for your own, maybe your own mental health, or for your own passion. Maybe you don't show anyone. For some people, it's political. For me, I think it's for me to inspire anyone that they can go and do something creative. They can be an artist, and you don't have to go and be crazy and set up a business like I have, or try and do this full time, but you can do it in some extent. You can go and show your work in a local gallery. So I think for me, a lot of it is just inspiring other people to have the courage and have the confidence to make art. I think pursuing a career in art is immensely difficult, and it is a lot of work, but I would encourage it nonetheless, because when you really are passionate about something, it won't seem like work. My advice is just collaborate, network. Working with other artists is an absolute joy, and there's this perception that art has to be competitive. It doesn't have to be. We can actually help each other. So yeah, just think about people you like, opportunities you want to get sort of participate in. I think also just acknowledge that a lot of art, you think it's going to be making all the time, but a lot of it is also admin, you know, maybe applying for funding, or social media. All kinds of things come into it as well from that side. And I guess also just be really flexible. So you're ultimately bound to get rejected from stuff, but that doesn't mean you're not a good artist, or that you know, you're a bad person or anything like that. So just be willing to learn and ask, and just see, what can I do better? And also be flexible. You know, art takes a long time to actually get anywhere, so it's going to take me a few years before anything really takes off properly. So just think about other ways you can make money, whether that be teaching, or you know, there are different ways you can do things. Some of my favourite directors, Sally Potter, she's an incredible British feminist, or she wouldn't describe herself as feminist, but you know, she's this wonderful director, and she's worked with Johnny Depp, Judi Dench, but despite that, she still does waitressing work. I'm not sure she does now, but in her early on career, she was still doing you know, just a regular job, because sometimes there isn't always that money in art for a while. So yeah, just especially when you have a clear vision and you want to do a certain thing. But yeah, if you have that passion, like, go for it.